Good morning and hello. It's time to create a new character. Here we go. So, this is my chance to create probably a Roth. Because this character is about me enjoying the story with you guys. And I think I'd like it to be a Roth. Now I can choose Light Roth, Dark Roth. Let's go see what their story is. So Hellions have traditionally been content to reside in southern Ilsabard with their respective tribes. Devout servants to their queens, one and all, and thus have only recently begun to make their presence felt through the remainder of the three continents. Though these Hrothgar initially had no word to describe themselves, Scholard called them Hellions after observing how their lives all but revolved around their queen's needs as planets circle the sun. Alright. Unlike Hellions, the Lost are unbound by the whims of any remaining monarch. Say no more. We're not going to be loyal to a monarch we can't see. Where do Roths fall within the height of everybody else? They're on the taller end, right? They're like Rogadin. So we're going to go max height. Now I can still go dark. So that didn't choose anything. I can even go like Rogadin green. I like the blues though. Yeah, I like the blue. Alright. Fur pattern. There's going to be more of these in 6.1. Oh no. Now, does this determine the actual size of the fur? Just no mustache like this? Don't do that. I don't really like any of these. I think I can fix a lot of that by just hiding the hair color. Yeah. So then it doesn't much matter. Now, if I change my fur pattern, does it change what faces are available? There's a bunch of upset people around the way Roth design works. Big tail. Monstrous tail. For sure. I might have to make another lap. I mean, if you're gonna have a tail, have a tail. Don't hide it. Alright. Oh, this is facial structure. Is there a way to go do facial features? Alright, I want to see the face structure without... Does that always come with that? So, like, even though I go to facial features, it's off. Oh, it always has a beard. Like, just a light outline one. Oh, no. Oh, no. The mustache on Roth looks like a skin glitch. Oh. Gross. Should I have a man bun? I like a lot of this longer hair. I like this a lot. Alright. And then jaw. This is it. New character. Oh, eye shape. These do not make a large difference on this face. They're pretty minor. Oh, large by far. Oh. Let's see. I think the extremely dark looks really nice with the white hair. But also kind of creepy. The white makes him look like more approachable. As opposed to that looks like they're going to definitely murder you. I'm starting from scratch. Totally from scratch. Phil, hello. Thank you so much for 19 months. At tier 3. Thank you, thank you. Phil, I do want you and Farmer Girl to know that your support is going to be credited in my new... I have some new lore videos coming up. And they feel like I'm working on too long not to have a sponsor. And instead of approaching sponsors, I'm just going to put your and Farmer Girl's name on them. So thank you. Alright. So the first video, I got the script finalized this weekend, and I ran it by some of the lore experts in the community. And I have found the axial tilt of Aetheris, the planet that we operate on. And it has some major ramifications for the scale to which, like, how the Ascians lived, the ancients. You know what I don't like about this fur right here is that it can't match that hair. Bro, you have not seen battle yet. You don't need that. That's not awful. I don't think it makes it look like flesh. Maybe some of the faces do more than others, Haida? Phil, it is that level of research. I have been reading about, for like 2 weeks now, I have been reading about map projections and axial tilt and the eccentricity of orbits. I've been nerding out on my weekends. So. Yeah. Yeah, this mustache is not awful. It could be a different face. So, the first video results in a bunch of ramifications that will have to be tackled in other videos because I think there is some significant knowledge projected around. So the first video has ramifications for the ancients, but it causes ramifications for like the Alligans, because it changes the way we travel the world. Because like the rum lines and the windrose lines on our map are wrong, and the coastlines are wrong. There's a lot wrong on our map. And it's just wrong. It's just objectively wrong. It's not like, oh, well, it's an artistic choice. No, it's wrong. But that's okay, because then you ask, okay, well, what would cause a wrong map to be in circulation? Because there have been wrong maps in circulation, especially prior to the 1500s. And especially since the 1950s. Like, but like 1500s maps, aspects of them were accurate to how they are now, especially if you account for the shifts in the magnetic poles. So, I'm telling you that the Eorzean map, if you zoom out to your worldview, the Eorzean map that we use of our regions is less accurate than 1600s Verisk. And I went and measured a bunch of it. There's also a lot of stuff that just doesn't make sense with, like, the way planets work. I don't have a tattoo. I can have face paint. Oh, that's what this is. Okay. That goes under same tattoo color. No thanks. Oh, and then I can choose face paint color. Okay. It's not Earth. There's enough evidence in game that you can actually ignore most written and spoken lore because I believe they've been misinformed. And if they've been misinformed, it's possible Yoshi P's been misled. There's some serious ramifications to what I found. And at first some of the lore experts were like, that's just not how it works. And then the more I explained it to them, they're like, okay, that's enormous. So if you remove "it's just a game" from the table, it's really cool stuff. If you leave "it's just a game" as one of the viable options, it is the best option. So. Okay. That's it. That's my character. Sure. So I never thought this mattered before, but I think it should matter. I don't know how I picked it before. So there's 384 days in an Eorzean calendar because there's 32 days per month. So, but I'm going to do my best to actually make this matter. There's also 12 months a year, which mimics our own calendar, but gets more off as you go further into the year if you're trying to count the number of days because of this. Because our moon is a perfect 4-day cycle that repeats. It runs in perfectly balanced stuff. But if we think of the umbral as your first half of the year, like you have umbral and astral months. Umbral and astral to each side of the moon. It's super messed up. It's super messed up. Because it implies that... So the real world has a 27.3 or 4 day lunar cycle. And over the next several thousands and thousands of years, it is getting longer, not shorter. But it is changing. Our moon in the real world is drifting out of orbit. It won't drift forever. What it will do is it will drift to the point of geosynchronous orbit, like a satellite, but because of its mass, it's further out. And so what that's going to cause is what's called tidal locking. So if you talk about time on a scale where you're talking about like the heat death of the universe, so like the sun swallows the earth, that type of time frame, not like humankind. Like humankind is so tiny. When you look at like the earth's creation and you place like bacterial growth and like humans, like from when humans were first discovering fire to now are basically right on top of each other. Because like that's how little time. So when we talk about how old the earth is, like our brains aren't designed to wrap around it because like we've never had to deal in time like that. But if you talk about time on that scale, what's going to happen eventually is the moon is going to slide out to geosynchronous orbit, and it's only going to be visible from one place on the planet. And it's going to cycle with that place. So imagine it centers, like, because our time starts in Britain, let's imagine it centers over Britain. I don't know if they've mapped out where it'll stop. But it's going to stop, like, over Britain. And you'll be able to see the moon from Britain. But that means from, like, China, there will be no moon. Ever. And then it causes all sorts of screwed up stuff with our tide, because our tide is partially affected by, like, the Earth and the sun and all that, but it's heavily moon-based. And that is because when the moon is on the opposite side of the Earth, it's actually pulling the water down from the other side of the Earth and up from the side that can see it. And so that is why, based on the moon's kind of imperfect wobble, we can predict high and low tides roughly 30 to 40 days in the future. Now, because tides affect the distribution of the mass cooling effect that the ocean offers versus all of the heat that builds up from the sun, wind currents, when you talk about, like, water flowing in and the way the tides are affected, it massively affects our climate. Massively affects our climate. But in Eorzea, we have a perfect lunar cycle. And I think, based on, like, my first video diving into all this, I think I know why. And TLDR, it is not an unmodified moon. Which, thanks to Endwalker, like, there are very valid explanations for why you would have a modified orbit. And you'd have a modified orbit. So our moon is much closer to a satellite than a moon. But we're going to pick the 24th of January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and August. The 4th Umbral Moon. Because August 24th was the release of A Realm Reborn. Fido, I need to sit there and do some more observations. It's possible that it may be tidally locked. And so I'm trying to decide, does it actually orbit at all? It's possible it's closer to a lamp with a timer on it. Because we do get lunar cycles in the visible sky. But I'm not sure that if you went to the other side of the planet, that's where the moon goes. I don't know. There's some weird ramifications. Okay. Now, this is the 12. Relentless Warrior. No. Goddess of Love. No. Knowledge. Interesting. Goddess of Fate. No. Navigation. No. Travelers and Vagrants. No. Architecture and Industry. No. Destruction. No. Inquiry. Maybe. Commerce. No. Abundance. No. Time. No. Okay. So, we don't have eclipses. And that's alarming. Because we should have eclipses. And you have to, for this conversation, leave, well, the devs didn't want to do it, off the table. Verisk, I'm not sure that that is something that can be trusted. The Azim's Crystal. I think there are references in the truths of the Earth that imply that there may have been multiple generations of ancients, and because ancients return to the ethereal sea when their work is complete, I believe there to be lost knowledge among the ancients based on what I saw. I believe the natural truths of the Earth tell us more than the ancients would know. So there's lost generational knowledge of the ancients. So if orbit was something that was altered by early ancients, the later ancients wouldn't need to know about it because they would be focused on what they knew. And so Atzem and Hydaelyn, it's possible that Atzems were misinformed, and that's fine because they had a job to do. And so like being part of the convocation would mean that you're good at your job. It doesn't mean you're good at all jobs, right? They're effectively elected officials with a task. And so if you have like an elected official who sits as like the head of agriculture for your country, that doesn't mean they know anything about, you know, fields that are unrelated to agriculture. And so like, yes, they have a seat, but it doesn't mean that everything they know is correct. I would trust them on agriculture. I don't know if there is a moon. Guys, this is going to be super spoilery as I go through ARR. Because, like, that's what I want. I want to view this as after Endwalker. So this is going to be super spoilery. Like mega spoilery. So, I don't want to be told things I don't like. When I get to Heavensward and Stormblood, it's going to shift, because I've never done those. And so, like, I may engage with chat a lot less. But during ARR, like, let's just talk about what this means. And, like, you guys may have to reference some Heavensward and Stormblood knowledge that I don't know. Like, I get that. I understand where I'm at. So, I have two choices of gods here. So, this is a story-based character. We've got the god of knowledge. Right? We're here to gain knowledge. And then we have the god of inquiry. I don't think there's knowledge to be had in A Realm Reborn based on what I found the last 2 weeks. I think a lot of it's misleading. So I think we're mostly here for inquiry. Because I'm telling you, you cannot trust some of the things that are put in lore. There are, like, the fact that the coastlines and rum lines are so wrong on our maps, just literally incorrect. So what happens is when you have a round planet, which, like, it didn't have to be round until, like, Stormblood. Because that's when they started, like, showing us cutscenes of the planet. And that could have been misunderstanding the Echo or something like that. And so the International Flat Earth Society of Eorzea could have told us, like, that's all a lie in your brain. And that's fine. So until we set foot on the moon and looked back at the planet and watched it rotate. And if you guys want to watch it rotate for a whole time, if you ever just want to do that, I uploaded it the same way I would for proof of, like, if I was trying to prove that the Earth was round, or like observation. So that is a hour and a half of the planet rotating. Okay, that's all it is. That's all that video is. So, if you just want to watch that, and you don't want to be logged in game because you have to deal with the auto logout feature, I've handled it for you. That's an hour and a half time lapse of me babysitting the anti-logout feature. It's got the music turned up. Enjoy yourself. That's where it's at. So if we know it's round, then that means all maps are either pieces of art where they have no relevance to the planet, or they're what's called projections. And projections are as if you put a shade on a lamp, and every point on the map where its light shined out to went. That's kind of what you're doing, right? And the shape of that paper and how you're deciding where those points go determines what that map does accurately and what it does inaccurately. And we know that there's inaccuracies and accuracies. The only place I've never started, I have started like so many characters over the years, and so I've done the beginning of the game like 1 billion times, in Ul'dah and Limsa. And that's because I like... Now it's because I like starting as a tank. So, my choices are Lancer, Archer, or Conjurer. I think you start as a Conjurer. Alright. So, but the accuracy of those projections, like, dialed way, way up when we got into, like, the 1500s. And so that's when we moved to the Mercator projection, which is what we still use for most maps today, because of its use within navigation. What it does poorly is it misses scale. So to make the round Earth deal with it, it basically scales the circumference of the Earth to the same length at all verticals, or all horizontals. Which means that as you get towards the edges of the Earth, things get bigger because you're taking a small circumference of that slice and you're spreading it. And so you end up with, but it maintains your cardinal projection. So east stays east, west stays west, north stays north, south stays south. So it's really useful for navigation. It preserves coastline shapes. It keeps you getting where you're going. It doesn't handle like A to B as a perfectly optimized route because it doesn't factor for the curve of the Earth, but it does give you a route, and that route will always get you there. And so that allows you to focus on things like weather and all of that when you're navigating the sea, because you're gonna get where you're going. It means that when you zoom in, if you look at a turn on a road and it takes a 90-degree left, when you get there, it'll be a 90-degree left. But it also means that, like, Greenland appears the same size as Africa, even though it's 1/14 the actual land area. So it is a sundered size of Africa. So it's not perfect, but, like, you can't have it perfect unless we're gonna all have globes. So, what kind of projection does our map use in Eorzea? And the answer is, it doesn't. The answer is, it is wildly inaccurate. It is wildly inaccurate. And usually you would trade some level of inaccuracy for accuracy in another area. Rough scale might be its best bet, and it doesn't do it the way that we have projections that actually aim for scale. So, like, it's not a projection. It's a piece of art. It's inspired. It's written down by somebody who was clearly informed. So they were either a traveler or they were informed by gods, like Moses writing on the Ten Commandments. Like, that's what's happening here. It's documentation, but it's not correct. Q times say conjure. That's my thought. That's my thought. All right. We're going to go put it on Sargatanas. No! My whole data center is locked down? Why? I want to be on Sarg. Where do I have to go? And I can't change from here? I have to go all the way back out? Why? Yeah, I gotta lose all progress. Alright. Back out. Connection poor. I don't care. Right? Because I'm never doing Savage on this character, so it should be fine. How bad's the lag? Like, it's still doable, right? I don't know. Then where do I go? I have to go to Primal? Considering I played with PS3, you'll be fine. It was rough. It was rough. There were some trial fights that, like, there were just certain mechanics you just had to admit you were going to be hit by. All right. Any of you? All right, so we have our choice of Bismarck. I don't know the story of Bismarck. I mean, I like Sephiroth's music. We're gonna pick Sephiroth. Which one's the highest density? I mean, I might as well just aim for density, right? I'm not doing extremes. I'm not doing extremes. I'm just thinking the road to 80 buff might be nice. And then what can happen is if I really want this character to live back home, then when the road to 80 buff falls off, I'll transfer it to Sarg. And so if I'm going to transfer it to Sarg either way, it doesn't matter where it is, right? Because it can transfer across regions. Can it not? I assume I can. So my thought would be transfer to Sarg. Am I doing something wrong, or do I have to stay? Is it NA to NA? Oh gosh, this is all so much learning. What's the transfer limitations? Homeworld transfer service. Characters cannot be transferred to a new world. The 90 you cannot transfer for the first 90 days from a new world. Doesn't say anything about data center. That's fine. I can be 90 days old. I don't mind. That means I'll probably beat Heavensward on this character, or at least the 2X content. You can. You started on Japan and then moved to America. Okay. Yeah, I'll play on Oceanic for 90 days, let my road to 90 buff wear off, and then... Am I getting the road to 90 buff on all of them? New character. Load appearance data. That's why you save things, by the way. Broth ARR play. Yep. That's why you do that. Because, like, I've had this issue before. So. No. I already saved it. We're good. I'm happy. No. 24th of January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. Inquiry. And a conjurer. Okay. You've selected Bismarck. No. I don't want Bismarck. Oh, it's right here. Look at that. Look at that. I want Sephiroth. Alright. This is good. This is good. Here we go. I need a name. Let me think. I assume this is taken. Survivor? Why does that not look right? Survival War. Oh. I was like, that does, I don't know what's wrong with it, but it looks wrong. It doesn't even say it's taken, just says cannot be used. But that's my name. Alright. Is that better? We'll assume Survivor's a middle name. Yes! Oh, okay. Meteor Derplander. That's honestly fine. That puts him in a weird familial relationship with my Realm Revoiced character, whose name is Reginald Derplander.